Developed mutism due to childhood trauma. My parents, ashamed of my condition, forced me to marry my sister Olivia's comatose fiancé Ethan in her place. After 3 years of my devoted care, Ethan miraculously woke up. But the first thing he did upon waking was to demand a divorce. He mistook Olivia for the one who had cared for him these 3 years, declaring he would marry no one but her. Later, I overheard his best friend explaining to him that it was actually I who had cared for him all this time. He just smiled nonchalantly and said, "I already knew that, but my wife can't be a mute." Completely heartbroken, I sought hypnotherapy to suppress my memories and cure my mutism. When I woke up, I looked at the man by my hospital bed in confusion and asked, "Who are you?" The man before me suddenly panicked. Ethan had been in a coma for 3 years. When he woke up, the first person he saw was me, but his eyes were filled with disappointment. I didn't notice the disappointment in his eyes. Overjoyed, I helped him sit up and shared the good news in our friends' group chat. Soon, the hospital room was crowded with people, and I, the wife who had cared for Ethan for 3 years, was pushed to the corner, completely ignored. Olivia arrived late, wearing a beautiful blue evening gown, looking like she had just come from a party. Ethan grabbed Olivia's hand, his eyes red-rimmed. "Honey, you've suffered so much these 3 years." At these words, everyone in the room was stunned, as if the air had frozen. I stood to the side, fidgeting with my clothes, unable to speak up for myself. All because of my mutism. His friend awkwardly explained, "Ethan, Rachel is your wife." Ethan's brow instantly furrowed, his eyes turning cold as he looked at me, as if I had come between him and Olivia. I had always known he liked my cousin Olivia. They were supposed to get married, but a car accident left him in a vegetative state. My cousin didn't want to marry a vegetable and cried to my parents. When I heard it was Ethan, I agreed to their request to marry him in my sister's place. Little did I know that after 3 years of my devoted care, this would be the result. I immediately took out my phone and started typing, wanting to explain, but Olivia pressed down my phone. She looked at me with a fake smile. "Sister, Ethan just woke up. He probably can't handle too much information right now. Why don't you step out for a bit?" Sensing the awkward atmosphere, the others in the room made excuses to leave. As the door closed, Olivia burst into tears and threw herself into Ethan's arms, as if she had suffered some great injustice. "Ethan, you're finally awake. I've waited for you for 3 years." My heart suddenly tightened, my hand trembling as I gripped the doorknob. After what seemed like an eternity, Olivia opened the door, her cheeks still wet with tears. I walked into the room suspiciously, only to have a glass shatter at my feet. "Rachel, you really went to great lengths to marry me. Using such underhanded tactics, aren't you ashamed?" Flying glass shards cut my leg, but the pain was nothing compared to what I felt in my heart. Ethan was my childhood friend, the only one who didn't look down on my mutism and encouraged me to seek treatment. But after meeting Olivia, he was unconsciously drawn to her. The boy who once said he would marry me gradually turned his heart towards her. Now, he even saw me as the villain who came between their love. I frantically tried to use sign language, then remembered he couldn't understand it. I shakily took out my phone to type an explanation. Olivia looked at me challengingly, knocking the phone out of my hand. It fell to the floor, the screen instantly going black. "Sister, please, let us be together." I stood there stunned. Apart from sign language, my phone was my only means of communication with others, and now I couldn't even defend myself. I shook my head desperately, but the world can be cruel, especially for someone who can't speak.